Hey Ryan, how you doing? How your job? Evening all. Hope everybody's well. I'm currently smoking my Nirup. I haven't smoked this for a long time. A really nice Bulldog. Hey Kleinster, 99. Boardwalk Piper, good evening. Lion Fu, hi, nice to meet you too. Ah, right, it was you then. I gave you a mention in the video, I hope you saw it. Is it Leon that you pronounce that? Hi Tim. Thank you, Leon. I'm assuming you pronounce it Leon. Good evening, Sam. Oh, we got a new icon on your channel. Nice. Jimmy Tabaki, welcome. Dwarven Piper, hello. So, I'm currently smoking the Nirup, which was always dedicated to London Fog, but I haven't smoked London Fog in a good while now, and I just fancied smoking this pipe tonight, so I'm being a little bit traitorous to this pipe. And hi Aces, and I'm currently smoking some vintage HH Mature Virginia, a very nice blend. This is from September 2010. YouTube Pipe Community. Hi Hector, how you doing? You're not good? Why, what's up? Yes, it is 9mm. What's up, Hector? Tell Uncle Simon. What's with the sad face, Hector? Evening, Joe Fish. Good evening, Lucas Lalira Mendon. Is it Mondoncha with a cedillo at the bottom of the sea? Bahia. Using this lighter I bought when I went to town last week. A £9.95 lighter, £9.95. It's called Colton, and so far it has actually been great. There you go, Colton. It's cheap and cheerful, but it lights every time. For IPSD, I was thinking of brewing up some more London Fog, to be honest. And I was thinking perhaps to actually brew some of the matched London Fog using the 515 RC from Sutliff, together with some Orlik Golden Sliced. I might do like a half a tin's worth, see how it goes. Or I could do some proper stuff. I've still got some Virginia Woods. I've even got one more tin of that original Orlik Golden Slice that I originally did the blend with. The first London Fog that I ever made was that was an aged tin of Orlik Golden Sliced, which in those days had burley in it, rather than officially now I think it has Perique in it, a little touch of Perique, but in those days it had burley. And hey Elwood, how you doing? And then it was with a 1999, I think it was, tin of Virginia Woods. So it was really, both were very aged. Mixed that up, and I don't even remember what the thought process was at the time, why I mixed it up, but it was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed that, got through it quite quickly, sought out some more Virginia Woods, and at that time you could still buy Virginia Woods, I think. Hey Barry. Nightcap is good. I didn't try nightcap until recently myself. And speaking of which, it is on my desk for tonight. What I decided tonight was to kind of have a little bit of a evolution in what I'm smoking. So I'm starting off with the Mature Virginia in the Nirup. Which is basically Virginia. What else has it got in it? I think it's just Virginia. And then move over to the Dark Twist, which adds, if I'm not mistaken, it adds some Kentucky in there. And then to move on to Nightcap to finish off. That's the way that was my thought process. We'll see if we actually get to that. American Haze, Ryan. What's American Haze? Oh, as opposed to London Fog. Very good. I like that. Nice one. I've got a couple of tins of Virginia Woods left as well. I think somebody recently sent me a 50-gram tin. So I've got, I think, a couple of 100 grams and 150 grams, if I'm not mistaken. Aperitif. I'm not sure if I've tried aperitif. I may have tried it and sent it on to somebody else. I think I bought it once early on, and I wasn't a fan at the time, but who knows. Is it a little bit aromatic? Elwood? User screen names UX. You think Mature has also got Oriental in it? Really? I didn't know that. Okay. Aperitif isn't that far from Nightcap. I guess it's a progression with the Nighthill, the Dunhill titles for the names for their blends. So I suppose Aperitif is just ahead of the Nightcap. Hi Hat Harry. The pipe carving is going. It's kind of ground to a halt at the moment, simply because I haven't got a chuck at the moment. I sent back the chuck that I had, and Crazy Night, how you doing? I sent back the chuck that I had and the jaws that I had. Because I was struggling big time to get the blocks central. So after doing some research and some toing and froing with Steve from Vermont Freehand, I actually pulled the trigger and I've purchased one of Vermont Freehand's chuck jaws for Briar. I've also purchased a tenon cutter from him and a selection of drill bits and some Briar blocks as well and a few stems. So we'll have to wait until that arrives. And once that arrives, I guess, and I'm also trying to catch up on my photographic processing, which I'm very behind on. So that's where I'm at the moment. Good evening, Cull Delta. So I've actually taken out this Asquith mix. This Asquith mixture is a vapor, quite a strong vapor. I finished my first kit that I made of this, so I was going to blend some up and make a pressing tonight. So I thought I'd take you guys along with me while I do that. So I'm going to mix that up and put it in the press. I'm just trying to find the tin that I had, the jar that I had it in, but I can't see it. Hi Suffolk. Mr. Broggs, yeah, they are very good price. I haven't actually got one. I may have had one a while back, but they are good for the price. A lot of their pipes are pearwood, but they do Briar as well. Hi CW. Have a good time. Have a good evening. Asquith is essentially a vapor. Dale Piper, how you doing? It's basically Virginian Perique, but whereas usually, yeah, I'm vapors. I'm all over the vapors, as they say. Um, uh, Whereas normal vapors we usually have between 5 and 7%, sometimes a bit more, of Perique. The Asquith mixture has a higher content, somewhere between 15 and 20% Perique. So the Perique is really quite rich. And what I found that when I pressed it, left it in the jar, by the time I came to the end of my jar, it was around 6 months old. And when I opened the jar, the aroma that I got from it was just mind-blowing. It was like a rich, chocolatey richness. Just fantastic. So I hope this one will be the same. See, what I keep forgetting about is I've got a bunch of experiments which I've done over the last few months, and I've just put them up on the shelf and forgotten about them. And I kind of should really revisit them every so often. The pipe next to the Tampa. I thought you were going to say the Tampa looks nice because it's one that I made. Right, the pipe next to the Tampa is a little Dunhill. It is a very nice pipe. It's got some nice grain on the top. It's a stubby Dublin. It's got some beautiful ring grain on it. Cumberland stem. And I'd set it aside for a while, was considering selling it. Thank you, Leon. But it really is a gorgeous looking pipe. And when I bought it, I had before that I didn't know. Here's the Tampa which I made a week or so ago on my new lathe. Nice bit of Zebrano wood there, nice grain. Thank you, CP. So when I first was moving over to 9mm pipes back in the end of 2017, it's unbelievable to think it's already almost a year and a quarter since I moved over to 9mm. To make the Tampa, how long? Not that long, to be honest. Once I get used to it, I could probably knock this up in. I mean, this is a fairly straightforward shape. There's nothing much to it. There's a little bit of a dip there, and the rest is just cutting some grooves. If I really focused and did nothing else, somewhere between 15 minutes and half an hour, something like that. Once to get it all polished up, looking nice like that. It doesn't take too long. In the States, I don't know about EMP. Cherry on Top did ask me about sending him some of the replacement from Sheraton. So I'm going to try and do that at some point. At the meetup, they gave out these. So the early morning pipe one would be first bowl. That would be the early morning pipe. And what I think is actually quite cool about these is that, as he explained in the video, if you've seen my video of the meetup, what they did is they blended up some samples to match the Dunhill blends, and then they sent them blind to a panel, and they sent various versions of each one, and they chose the best ones. And the best ones weren't necessarily an absolute match for the Dunhill blends. A good example is the Navy Rolls. The Navy Rolls, the Sheraton version, which is called Rolls, is a bullseye flake, a bullseye roundel, whereas the Dunhill Navy Rolls has no bullseye in it. And the reason why they did that is because they got the feedback that that was the best one. So I like that they've been sort of brave enough to just, be their own, be themselves, whilst still trying to come up with, equivalent Dunhill replacements. I actually got the last question, and I should have got that cigar, but I didn't make a fuss about it. Somebody else called it up, but I'm pretty sure I was first. No, Sheratons won't officially be available in the States. We can't export to the US from here, unfortunately. This company is Tor. They're called Tor, T-O-R, and they. Hi, Joe. They own the Sheraton blend, the Sheraton tobacco name. I think Dunhill owns Sheraton Pipes, if I'm not mistaken. But they own the name, and they have gone and they've had it blended by a blending company in Germany. They didn't say which company. And hi, Walter. And I did ask them about, whether they blend for other people or not, but he didn't give me a straight answer. And to be honest, it was a little bit unfair for me to ask that question. It was quite, for instance, I asked them about the Bullseye Flake, the new rolls, and that looks so close to the other type of coins, like Luxury Bullseye Flake, or the Davidoff medallions, or the cask number, is it number 7, Camoys? I'm not sure which one is the Bullseye one, but there's a whole host of Bullseye coins out there. So I was trying to tease out of him whether or not it's simply just a rebadged tobacco, but he said it wasn't. I mean, he went through this whole spiel about them going to panels for blind tasting, so hopefully it's true. And so far the ones that I've tried have been very nice. I've tried 3 blends so far and they have been very nice, I have to say. I'm quite critical, I'm quite straightforward when I try something, and I'll be fairly straightforward as to whether I do or don't like it. And I did enjoy them, I must say. So, going back to the pipe carving, I did Stuff and Things does. He absolutely adores Elizabethan. That seems to be his number 1 blend. I did start to try and carve a pipe, but I struggled with the chuck jaws that I had. So once the jaws arrive, I have to get another chuck. There are a couple of makes of chuck that are compatible with these jaws, so I have to make sure that I get the right ones. And once I get that, and I've caught up a little bit with my photography work, then hopefully I'll get in there full steam ahead. Once my order comes through from Vermont Freehand, hopefully it'll come through safely. I should have somewhere in the regions of about 15 or 20 blocks to work with, and so that should be enough to get me going for a while. The stems is an area which I really have to play around with. I've got a bunch of pressed stems which are, have to be sort of shaped and sanded, and you have to cut the tenon down to size. But beyond that, I don't have any blanks as such where I could make my own stems from. I do have some acrylic square sort of shaped blanks, but I've got no idea if I can do that with the lathe without using a specific type of tool, and whether I can use my regular turning tools. I'm not sure about that, so we'll have to see. I'm pretty sure that ebonite and vulcanite, these kind of things, and Cumberland can be turned with the tools, but I'm not sure about acrylic, because that stuff is quite brittle, and you have bits flying everywhere, and I think you have to also have the lathe really running quite fast for it not to chip. So I really need to speak to a carver about that before I play around with those. Well, that pretty much smoked down to the heel. That was a good start to the evening. That was HH Mature Virginia. Good evening, Tree. Long time no speak. How are you? I've not seen any people dip their bowls as such. Plenty of them do the flame thing to burn off the excess stain, but I haven't done that. And most of my information that I've got in terms of how to make a pipe has come straight from YouTube. Various, I've searched for people, and there's loads. There's a plethora of carvers out there. It's a bit rough, Barry, smoking outdoors this time of year. Got some coffee on the go. I'd usually have my regular coffee with frothed milk, but I wanted it to last and stay hot, so put it in one of these. Just placed a big order with Fawn Loggins. I've got to say, Fawn Loggins, pretty good these days. I went through a period where I wasn't particularly happy with the service, but the last couple of orders I've done have been very good. They've also managed to put together a more reasonable shipping package to the UK. The cost of shipping used to be ridiculous. Nice, Barry. I hope you're enjoying it. And I'm finding that I'm buying some of the cheaper stuff there. I've mentioned this before. The Amphora blends, they're great value, really great value. They're pouches, which is not the end of the world. It's, a lot of people prefer tins. But if you're smoking it and you're not cellaring it really, just jar them up when you get them. I mean, I've still got a couple of bags of the full aroma. I've left them in the pouches at the moment, and I've got one left of the Virginia. The Virginia is a cracking blend, it really is. With customs it can be an issue, but generally speaking, hi Pirate. With customs it can be an issue, but so far I've generally had good experience with both Fawn Loggins and with Boswell's. They've really been very good with their labelling and the declarations, and I've not really had an issue. I do have a package out there which... Hi Art, how you doing? I have a package sitting in customs at the moment, which is, I think, the problem with it is it's quite a big box probably, and it's kind of possibly grabbing attention because of the value that's been placed on the box, because in order not to attract customs you've got to put a value on it less than £20-25, something like that, or £28, and something which weighs a lot, you know, they're probably suspicious that there's something else. But you know, it's been there. It's been in customs now since the 29th of January, and that's never a good sign. You know, and I'm expecting two things: either a delivery ticket saying that I need to pay a huge amount of tax because it's going to be it's a big box of tobacco. That's option number one. Option number two is that I'll get a letter saying that the contents has been destroyed, which, because it's so much, destroyed is in inverted commas, because I doubt very much that they destroy it. Somebody's enjoying that tobacco. And option number three is that it gets through, and there's just a delay, but it'll get through. I'm hopeful that option three is the one that'll happen. Jimmy, I assume you're talking about his metal filter art. I did see that video. 15.1. Ooh, that's a long time, Barry. I think there are some delays, and I don't know if it's got to do with you know, preparations for Brexit, although it doesn't affect imports from the US, but it could just be that customs themselves are just experiencing a delay, which is affecting customs all over. And that could be. $16 of Scottish mixture. That's fantastic value. The bulks are fantastic. I'm not a fan of Scottish mixture, although, to be honest, I haven't tried it for a long time. Scottish mixture was one of the first blends that I tried when I started smoking, and it burnt the hell out of me. It bit my tongue no end, and it put me off. But right now, I've been enjoying the HH blends and the Mac Baren blends generally recently, so it might be worth another try. Sometimes, Barry, it's sometimes even with the customs, it's still worth it for two reasons. Number one, when you add the customs to the cost of the tobacco, you'll arrive at a similar price to what you'd pay in the UK. But it also gives you access to the US blends, which you wouldn't be able to get here. So you got to kind of weigh it up. But sometimes it's not worth it. It's true. I don't think I've ever turned away a package yet. I had it once when I bought. I got some cigars. One of my early orders from one of the online retailers of cigars, and that got stopped. I think there were two boxes of cigars in that package. That got stopped. I had to pay something like £120 or something like that in taxes. But it was still cheaper than buying them retail here, so I still paid it. I think that's the only time that I got stuck with customs in a big way. Every so often, some of the smaller packages, I remember a Jake Hackett pipe, which I still miss. It's a pipe that I sold. I don't miss a lot of my pipes. I fondly remember and don't miss, but there's one pipe that I do miss, and that's one of the early on Jake Hackett billiards with a really lovely yellow boxwood insert adornment, which I sold to, I think it was Jonty Piper, so hopefully he's enjoying it. Daniel Leslie, hello. 75 custom for 5 1.5 ounce pouches. That's a lot of money, actually. That's a lot of money. I'm not sure that I would want to pay that. You've challenged it with Border Force on what basis? What's the basis of your challenge? Aperitif, I think, is a light English. It's probably a bit of an aromatic stroke English, like a crossover. Oh, I see, £20 overcharged. Alright, I've never had any success with the Border Force. I have in the past, but I've not really bothered. I did try once calling them, but you're wasting your time, Barry. I wouldn't worry about it, and I wouldn't bother with it, because you're going to end up getting stressed. The charges are not totally transparent, I agree with you. Many times I get charged a handling fee when there was no customs and excise charge. So it will say on it customs excise 0, handling charge £13 or whatever it is. Yeah, I wish you luck, Daniel. Canada is tough. Canada is really tough. Hey Jerry, welcome. Thank you for joining. I haven't sent you a pipe yet. I haven't been to the post office in a good couple of weeks. I've got quite a bit to send out now. So as soon as I get some spare time, I've got packages to send to. I've got to send a package to you, Jerry. I've got to send a package to Gamecock Piper, to Mike, and I've got to send a package to the Artful Codger, to Ben. Well, if they confiscate, there's no charge, so there's nothing to. If they confiscate, I don't think there's any way back, because they destroy it. I did see your video, Art, about using the metal tube and using pipe cleaners. It's a neat idea. I don't know that you get you're obviously not going to get the effect of the active charcoal, but it's a neat idea. I would say that it's a neat idea if you've got the time to do that. You know, as you know, I've tried many things, as have you. You're probably the big experimenter when it comes to 9mm. But ultimately, it's just simpler to just whack in a 9mm filter, isn't it? Bottom line. PA Piper, how you doing? Do they actually send it back? If you refuse delivery, then yes, I guess it gets returned to sender. But if it gets confiscated, then you're done. You know, you've lost it. That's it. It's done. I don't think you can get mature Virginia. I wish you could get mature Virginia, and that's been out of production for a while now. Cotton with charcoal, Art. Seriously, stick a 9mm filter in and be done with it. It's cute. It's cool to do the experimentation, but in reality, oh, this is a good cup of coffee. I'm thinking to move straight to the Latakia. Well, the likelihood is that there's probably no pipe smokers in there. They're going to be young, spotty teenagers, probably, just yanking stuff out and looking for anything valuable. In a pinch, yeah, it's a good idea, absolutely, Art. So this was the thought process this evening, was to start off with the mature Virginia, then to the dark twist, and then go to just sort of a steady progression in fullness of the tobacco. But I'm not sure if I should stick with that or go straight to the nightcap. The Savinelli, Bolson 9mm filters. When I bought my first Savinelli, which is going back to somewhere around October 2015, which was this 606, the St. Nicholas 606. That came with a bunch of 9mm Bolsa filters. I did smoke, I think, that first pack with the filters, and I really didn't know much about anything in those days. I was literally just starting off, and they really did get soaking wet when I took them out, and I would leave them in for a few bowls. But in those days, I didn't really notice the difference with or without. I only knew one thing: I could smoke Cult Blood Red Moon without too much tongue bite. If I smoked it for too long, I would get a little bit of bite with that as well. But generally speaking, Cult Blood Red Moon was fantastic. I could smoke it all day, and that 606 has a cavernous bowl in there, and you could smoke that for a couple of hours, you know, with the amount of stuff in there. And I enjoyed it. As soon as I tried anything which was Virginia forward, I got a bit like a good one. Hi Eric, how you doing? Whenever I ship to overseas or to the UK, when I have to declare the contents, I put down Rapid Wolverine with AIDS inside. They never opened the box, never had a problem yet. Ha ha ha. Wildcats, how you doing? Mr. Smoke Guy. Eric is the blue collar pipe smoker. Cherry on top, even in all. Alright, so I think I am going to go with the dark twist. I'm going to stick to my regime. Eric is a teacher, but he's kind of a bit iffy because he like plays with his phone under the desk when he's teaching. You know, he likes watching live videos. So this dark twist, you get a bunch of roundels, and the ones with the darker centre have got some Kentucky in them, and they're just a little bit more spicy. This one is also pretty old. This one is from 2012. I think I've nicked out most of the Kentucky ones because they do give it a nice little bit of a spicy hit. I'm going to get another Kentucky one. Cisco, how you doing? Smoking guns. Right, which pipe, gentlemen? Which pipe should we go for? We have the Northern Briars, Quebec, or we can go for the Bentley by Former, or we can go for my own panel. What say you? The Bentley. Use the pipe with a white stem. The white stem is the Moretti. Yes, Hector. It's true, isn't it? That is its name. Rabid. Okay. This one I made, yeah. This one, trying to remember if I made that. It must have been pre-drilled, because I haven't as yet drilled anything all the way through. Daniel, I've been generally pretty... The wooden one. Very good, Joe. I've been very impressed with them. I've so far smoked the rolls, which I have my own tin of. On the night I smoked the... What did I do with that card? Oh, it's right there. Twit. I smoked Alright, I think Royal Escape, I think that's the Royal Yacht, and I enjoyed it. Royal Yacht, previously I didn't enjoy that much, the original Dunhill, but I did enjoy this. It had a really interesting sweetness to it, a little bit of a richness, a bit tanginess, and I enjoyed it. And after that I smoked the Victoria mixture, which is the Elizabethan match, and that was very nice as well. It's I don't remember anymore what I said about it. I think I smoked it. Did I smoke it on the way back? No, I don't think I actually smoked it. I think I was too had too much to smoke, so I smoked it later on in the evening. Well, it was morning by the time I smoked it. But as I say, I was very impressed all around with the blends. Barry, you're getting a little bit close to the wire there. Okay. Eric, you know me so well. You know me so well. Absolutely, Cal Delta. All right. Oh dear me. Right, so I think that we're going to get this pipe on the go, and then I'm going to start doing the Asquith mixture. I'm trying to find my mixing bowl, which I haven't been able to find, which is a bit of a worry. This has also got a pretty large bowl. Mocha strips by Sutliff. Good, I hope that's good. A half a bowl in this pipe is actually probably near enough a full bowl in many other pipes. This is a Northern Briars. I dream to make a pipe like that. I could make some nice enjoyable noises, but I'll keep them to myself. It's a good tobacco. This is the one that I made in panel. I've already smoked it a fair bit, and it smokes very well. The briar is really good. I've got to tell you, if any of you guys are wanting to do any sort of kit blocks, Alexandra Briars, very, very good. Their blocks seem to be very well seasoned. You know the plateau one that I did. Where is that pipe? Maybe it's in my bag. No. Oh, here it is. So this one is my first stab at a plateau pipe. Smokes fantastic. It started off as a pretty big block, but it's really lightweight. It's amazingly lightweight. CB Royal. What does CB stand for? Hay4Ride. And it really does smoke very well. It's got some nice grain. The main flaw, if you like, on this pipe is there's a difference in shade between the top and the bottom. And it's probably something to do with the moisture that it was, how it was in the ground, that kind of thing. But, you know, it's a small issue really. But it smokes really, really well. And this, as you can see, is pipe number 4. Now, this one hasn't got a number on it, just that it was made in 2018. See you, Boardwalk. Hey Mike, how you doing? Mentioned your name a little bit earlier on. One of the packages I still have to send out. I haven't been to the post office for a while. I hope I'll get to it this week sometime. Am I going to try and make a meerschaum pipe? Well, it's funny you should say that. I was on the site not long ago. Actually, it was Vermont Freehand, and he's got some meerschaum blocks. But I think that before I get to that, I've really got to get the basics down on the two things that I really want to get over the hurdle of is centering a block. That means getting the draft hole drilled and the chamber drilled successfully, even if it's not a bang on center, but just to get it done successfully so that I can learn to just... My main challenge at the moment is learning how to mount a block onto the lathe, and I think that when the chuck arrives, when the jaws arrive from Vermont Freehand, that will be a big step in that direction, because I've struggled with the regular chucks. Alright, let's get some of this Asquith going. So, this is the Asquith mixture. This was originally blended by Glyn Quelch. Yes, Eric, it was done, it was made, but as I packed it away, it kind of snapped when I put it in the bubble wrap. The bubble wrap was just too heavy for it. And Bombay Extra was a favourite of yours for a while, Tim, wasn't it? Cherry, essentially, the chuck itself is the same principle, but it's the jaws that you attach to the chuck. That was the issue. So, if you can imagine... Hi, Boris. So, if you imagine you've got your chuck there, and it's attached to your lathe, your motor, and so you attach some jaws. So the jaws that I had were circular jaws, so it had like a profile. So the way it stuck out was just like 3 sections. It was actually 4 sections, but they were kind of circular and they stuck out proud, and you wedged your block in there somewhere in between. But it was very hard to get. You imagine you're just the catchment area was just these corners over here, and you just couldn't be sure that you were straight on. It was difficult to make sure that it stayed in that position. Sometimes if the block got caught on the chisel, it would just send it off, and it would be all over the place. So the jaws that you get from Vermont freehand are essentially 2 jaws, and they basically look, once it's loaded on, it's 2 square faces there. So you've got 2 square faces there like that. They're actually 2 pieces, so they're split down the middle there, and they widen and decrease as you open the chuck. And so it's completely square. You can't. You need to make sure that your block is kind of square cut on the sides. So I've bought the bandsaw as well. So before I will put it in there, I'll cut it square, so that way I've got a fairly good chance of making sure that it's loaded well. And that's basically, I'm hoping it'll make a vise. Absolutely, yeah, it's exactly what it is. But you know you're dealing with, so there, and this is also textured, so it's like got ridges, so it digs into the block and it holds it firm. But you always know that you're going to be square on. Yes, Art, very nice pen. You know something, I use this pen all the time. I've got 2 or 3 of them. You sent me a few. If you want to send me some more, you can next time. They write very, very well, and the grip on these is just fantastic. Really, really nice. I enjoy it. And these are the ones which I don't give to my kids to use because I enjoy using it. From start to finish, how long does it take to make a pipe? I don't know the answer to that question at this stage. I haven't made enough pipes to be able to say. I've got a pipe. I should really time it next time. You know, start and stop as I start and stop working on a pipe. The one I'm working on at the moment is the one that I'm doing some rustication on, my first rustication. Thanks, Hi-Hat. Thanks for joining. Cheers, Harry. And that's taken quite a while because the tool that I was using for the rustication, the rotary tool, which is like a Dremel type tool, has started to fall apart, and it's only like a week or 2 old. So I went back to the shop on Friday, and unfortunately I've had a really bad experience with this shop, which I've been going to. The people in there are lovely people, but it's a national company which all over the country, but it's really, I was expecting, perhaps I expected too much, you know, for my money. But and you know, when I first started in my photography, I applied the rule by the best that I could get at the time, and I didn't do that with the pipe tools, because I decided that I wasn't sure if I was going to end up being any good, and so I didn't want to go too crazy with buying stuff and having a load of tools sitting in my garage gathering dust. So I kind of went mediocre. The only thing which I really spent a reasonable amount on was the lathe itself and the actual chisels. But other than that, I didn't spend too much money. But I can see that this tool is a bit of a waste of time. The rotary tool is just falling apart, so I've got to take that back. They're going to send it off, and I said to them, look, I bought it a couple of weeks ago. If it's broken, you've got to replace it. I'm not going to hang around for weeks till you send it back. But they're just, you know, one of these companies where they take your money and then it's a right old rigmarole to get something sorted. So I'm going to take it back, and if I get another one, I get another one. In the meantime, I'm probably going to end up buying a Dremel, which is what I should have done in the first place. And we'll see how we go. Art, that's something which I probably will try, is you know, I will try my hand at turning other stuff as well. I mean, making the basic tamper was very straightforward, but trying to make something which is exceptional, that's a different story. You know, adding other materials, putting on some adornments, metal, stuff like that, that's a different matter, which is something which I haven't tried yet. But turning bowls, yeah, I mean, this is a nice bowl. The ashtray, my cigar ashtray, which is really, it's two pieces of wood glued together and then turned. Fairly straightforward, but it makes a beautiful product. I hope your wife's not listening, Eric. That's actually not the hard part, Jimmy, to be honest. Because all you would do, the hard part is not the measuring of it, the hard part is getting it in the right spot. This one I made. But the hard part is not the measuring it, because all you do is take a drill bit. Imagine that's a drill bit. You hold it against the pipe, and you get it to the position where you want it to be, and you just put a bit of tape over there, and you stop when you reach the tape. It's as simple as that. The measurement is not the issue. The issue is getting it true. So drilling it central, and making sure that it meets the bottom of the bowl. So when it comes to it, the bowl will be, the chamber will be something like that. And you want to hit it right there as best as possible. I mean, to be honest, the vast majority of pipes that I have will usually be somewhere around there, and occasionally you'll get one which comes right at the apex, or whatever the opposite word is for apex, and that's really great. And then it really acts like a calabash. You know, a calabash is where you'll have the draft hole below it going in a curved pipe like that. But if you have a pipe drilled very, very well, the hole emerges there, and it acts as well as a calabash in terms of drawing the air through the chamber. But that's the skill. Yeah, I guess I'll have to at some point invest in a Dremel. I'm a bit disappointed in myself that I didn't do that in the first place. Am I going to make a system pipe? I have no idea. Hi, Josh. I really don't know. At the moment, I'm really going to be focusing on straightforward. When it comes to making from scratch on the lathe, it's going to be straightforward billiards, I think, to start with. I'm going to just really walk before I run, and just try to really get to grips with the turning of the bowls, so I get a proper symmetrically round bowl, and also to get a nice round shank. You can buy Dremel here. Dremel, yeah, sure. There's no shortage of Dremel tools. I'm just kicking myself a little bit that I didn't buy one to start with. That's all. I'm a bit loath to buy one when I've bought a similar tool, but I probably will end up having to get one at some point. I don't understand that, Barry. What are you saying? That the bowl has dropped below the shank hole? Oh, I see what you mean. With age, it's just become deeper. That's no biggie. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I've got some pipes which shouldn't really smoke well, and they smoke fantastically well. I've got some where I think actually, where is it? I think this one even. I don't know if you can see that. basically on this pipe, the draft hole comes up there. So over here. So it's, well, something like that. So it's quite a distance between that and the bottom of the bowl. But it smokes very, very well. A variable speed jeweler's polisher buffer that you can connect a rotary tool attachment. Dual purpose specification buffing. Okay, thank you. I did at one point buy myself a small sort of polishing, a bench grinder thing which had a polisher on one side, and it came I think with that attachment, but I think I sent it back. I think I gave it back because it was a really cheapy kind of piece of rubbish. I saw Road Glide Sully's video on, I didn't see a video on making the tool. He talked about it. I did mention to him that it would be cool to see that being made, and that's something which I hope to do once I get my another chuck, is to make my own rustication tool. And if I do that, I will video the making of it as well. I don't know much about the Longchamp leather-wrapped pipes. The person to speak to is the Artful Codger, and maybe Eric, Blue Collar Pipe Smoker, might have some of those, and I imagine that Tree, I think I've seen at least once Tree smoking one of those. So no, I haven't got any of those. That's a good song, Dremel, Dremel, Dremel. Dremel, 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 I made it out of clay. Oh, that's good. Right, the Asquith blend is not getting mixed on its own, is it? I'm just having a quick look, Mike, at that bench lathe thingamajig, and that actually looks really good. Except I can't imagine that I'd be able to buy it here. You can put everything on this by the looks of it. You can put an arbor on it as well. That is very cool. So it'll take a drill chuck, it looks like. That actually looks really, really useful. That's pretty pricey, that lathe. That why do they call it a lathe? Cheers, Cal Delta. I'll have to see if I can find an equivalent. I imagine it's made in China, so it's probably accessible here in the UK somewhere. But I will look into that. Thank you, Mike. That's very cool. It is a smokeless cigar, isn't it? I took it with me to the Pipe Club of London, and the one of the guys who was presenting the Sheraton tobaccos had never seen anything like it before, and he asked if he could have a look at it, and he was really, I could tell that he wanted it, but I was in a selfish mood. I said no. This was given to me as a gift, so I wasn't going to give it away. This was given to me by it was either Le Don Mott or Danny Shaw, I forget which. Well, contrary to popular belief, I don't smoke that much. Because I've said this many times on my channel, I smoke half bowls most of the time. And I'll smoke usually 3 or 4 half bowls a day. I'd usually smoke a half a bowl, it's even less than half a bowl, on the way on my morning drive, and then perhaps again in the early afternoon. And then when I get home, usually another maybe 1 or 2 half bowls, and occasionally a cigar. I'm not smoking as many cigars as I have, but as the weather starts to move into spring, which is ridiculous. I was just talking to a friend of mine, I was walking this afternoon, and we were talking how mild the winter has been, and we're already starting to get really nice spring mornings. The amount of times that I had to get frost off the windscreen of the car, you could count it on one hand this year. It's been ridiculously mild. Do I age my tobaccos? Well, I've got plenty of tobacco aging, but for the last probably year or so, year and a half, I've kind of sought out older tobacco so that I can smoke it straight away and enjoy the benefits of the age. But I do have some of the jars that I've got behind me in my cupboard, which I've had since I started. So some of those will be having, 2 to 3 years age on them already. Cheers, Jerry. Have a good one. Yeah, I will be looking into those tools. I just hope I can get something nearer to, I don't have to pay stupid shipping charges for something that's going to weigh as much as that. But it's good to hear that they're good quality. The price, obviously, by the time I finish getting the attachments that I want, it's going to end up being something like $200 or $300. Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to get something similar. I appreciate that, Art, but it's going to cost you a fortune to ship. I mean, I'll pay for it, but it's. I don't know if it'll be viable. The shipping will cost a fortune. All right. Been talking, and we haven't got anywhere near opening up this Asquith mixture. I'll probably order some more of this to let age as well. So the way it works with these is that, as I was saying earlier on when I started doing this, was that these were original recipes by Glyn Quelch, who used to own GQ Tobaccos, and he was a fantastic blender. You watch some of his videos, which I go back a few years now, but he was really into experimenting a lot. He worked at Gauntly's tobacconist, and he really put together some really nice blends. He really did, and this is one of them. This is a very popular blend. So nowadays in the UK you can't sell tobaccos which have got I think you can't make your own blends these days. I'm not exactly sure which regulation it would be flouting, but you can't, basically they can't be sold as a blend anymore, so they're sold as a kit until somebody at the whichever department deals with it, the food and health and whatever, sort of closes that loophole. But for now, that's what we can do. So you've got this here, which looks like a really bright Virginia. It feels quite dry actually. It might be Burley, I'm not sure. Yeah, these are the standard bags which Gareth Hogarth, most tobacconists will sell you bulk or loose tobacco in these type of bags. See you, Barry, thanks for joining. So this is the base tobacco, which to be honest I'm not sure what it is. It doesn't smell like Virginia very much, and this one probably is the Perique. Yeah, this is the Perique. Yeah, this is the stuff. Oh, it smells awesome. It's quite wet as well. That's the Perique. Oh, it's twitching up my nose. Right, bear with me for just a second. I've just got to find a receptacle to mix these in. Okay. I haven't tried Speakeasy, no. Jimmy, the only secret I've got is 9mm. 9mm filters, that's how I dealt with tongue bites, but you know, other people will tell you there are many other ways to deal with it, and it's essentially to learn how to pipe smoke properly. Going to 9mm, some would argue, is the lazy way, but to be honest, you know, some people have just got a greater sensitivity than others. You can ask Art about that. Hi Signalman, how you doing? Thanks for joining. I really would like to know what this tobacco is. I wonder if it's burley. Good evening, Ken. So the one rule which Linda Quelch told me was mix, mix, and mix again, and then mix again. Mixing is the key to any kind of blend. It's making sure that it's thoroughly mixed. And the aromas are really starting to come through. The Perique is really rising from this bowl. Yeah, we're mixing up some Asquith mixture. And then I'm going to put it in that press. I'm trying to think what this aroma is, this Perique. It's got it's a familiar aroma which you get in daily life. I just can't for the life of me think what it is. It's almost like a thick, rich, rum-laden fudge, which has got like that alcohol coming off it. The sea, maybe. It's not the saltiness of the sea. It's if you go to the sea with a lot of seaweed, then yeah, I can get that. It's like the mulchy kind of aroma. From June 18. That's roughly when I blended mine, the last one, but I finished that now. I had my last bowl of it, I think last week, or maybe the week before. But it's just good stuff. Have you not tried it yet, Dale Piper? Did you smoke it the last time round when it was originally made by Flynn Quelch? Because I think he used to sell it in cake form, if I'm not mistaken. So this is the press which was made for me by Josh, Pipe Grump. So a lot of people use greaseproof paper and that kind of thing to stop it from sticking, and what I came up with last time is just simply to use a Ziploc type bag, and it works just fine. This is the Grumpy press indeed. Well, generally speaking, I prefer flake, and for two reasons. Probably one is just the aesthetics of it. It just looks good, it feels good. You feel like you're handling a product. But the main reason why I like flake is because I can break it out, I can rub it out to the consistency that I like, that I seem to have the best success with. And even that may just be a perception. But ribbon cut is the easiest to work with. You just load it and go, dry it a little bit, load it and go. There's no preparation. So what I did last time was I closed it but left a little corner open so that the air can get squeezed out of it. So there's just left that little bit there open so that when the press starts to compress it, it has where to go and it doesn't just explode. So the bag's in. Oops. Next, we've got to put the lid on. Yeah, ribbon does burn fast, it's true, because it does let a lot of oxygen into it. So that goes in there. No, it doesn't. It'll turn around, so the marks have to mark up. And that shows you how precisely that's been cut. Look how it's just slowly making its way down. And hopefully my press is still here somewhere. Here we are. Now that's a C-clamp. Doesn't even fit into the picture. It knocks everything else off the table. Weighs a ton. There you go. Just to give you an idea, it's a 100-gram tin. That's a big clamp. So I've just got to get it to grip and then I'll put it back in the picture. Okay, so there we go. Just going to tighten it up. Okay, so that's that done. Now, what I learnt from Glyn Quelch is that what most people do when they press tobacco is they'll put it in the press, leave it for a day or two, and then tighten, and keep tightening it as it compresses. And he told me that's the wrong thing to do, because what you're doing is that when it starts to marry together, when you start the tobacco start to adhere, you're then pressing it more. It pushes out the liquid, and you get to a point where you're kind of losing some of the essential flavors because you're squeezing it to within an inch of its life, so to speak. And he said what you should do is press it as tight as you can initially, and then leave it for a day or two, and then release it, and then just leave it. And that's what I did the last time round, and it was fantastic. I did the same with the dark twist with, yeah. So this is the dark twist which I mixed with Perique. It's one of the experiments I did. It smells amazing. And I ended up with a really nice cake like this, or somebody called it a Weetabix. And I just break a corner off whenever I want to smoke it, gently tease it apart, smoke it, and it's fantastic. And I did it that way. I did not over press it. This was another one of the experiments I did. It was London fog with a bit of amphora, Virginia, to sweeten it up a little bit. That was in July 18. I haven't tried that for a while. Oh, that smells good as well. It smells quite bright. I might try that actually soon. That I'll press. I could, if I really wanted, I could even take it out of the press tomorrow morning. I just don't touch it. I don't fiddle with it. So even if it's released, I just leave it as a cake without touching it, and I'll just leave it in the jar for a few months, and then it marries together. There's enough compression there to, you know, how much do you need to press them together for the flavors to meld and to marry? Pressing it and pressing and pressing it, you know, how close do you want each piece to get to each other? They're touching each other. They're pressed together. It's not just that they're loosely sitting in a jar. They are pressed. And for me, it's worked. You know, when you watch some of the videos of some of the tobacco houses like McBaron and GLPs and these kind of people, or Cornell and Deal, you do see that they have these industrial size presses where they're putting on tonnage of pressure, but they are processing a lot of tobacco. But I've found it works the way I've done it. You know, Glyn obviously has tried and done lots of experiments, and it's worked for him as well. And from my limited experience, it seems to work very well. All right, let's get this pipe back on the road. Smoking some Dark Twist in the Quebec by Ian Walker. Well, I will get to selling some Tampers at some point. I did put this one up, but there were no takers. But I haven't really made an Etsy shop or anything like that. This one I did put up for £15, but I put it up on Instagram, I think, and possibly on Facebook as well. I don't remember. Hi, Davey. But to be honest, I want to get a few more under my belt before I start selling stuff. I want it to be, you know, good quality that people are going to be happy with. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Hector. They are both good. The Savinelli Billiard is a great pipe. Perfect dimensions, really. It's a classic shape. And Dark Twist is great. Your star is certainly on the ascent, Hector. You won a couple of giveaways, didn't you? There was the first Tamper that I made, one that you didn't even take part of. Yes, that was Izzy, wasn't it? I forgot to bring it out with me. I was going to give away the first Tamper that I made. It's out in the garage now, so I'm not going to go out and get it now, but I'll try to remember to do that next Saturday. Well, the first pipe I smoked this evening was a Bulldog shape. It's a Bulldog from Nirup. Really nice pipe, this one. I really lucked out with this one in terms of the grain. There's a 'n' 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 'n I've got your address, Ryan, haven't I? But to be honest, I want to send out the stuff that I've given away in previous weeks before I start giving more stuff away. Otherwise it just gets a bit ridiculous. Because I'm really conscious of the fact that it takes me too long to get stuff out. And I feel bad about it, but there you go. I did have a Dunhill Bulldog, Diamond Shack Bulldog, a beautiful one. And that thing, yeah, it is a lighter. It's actually a very good lighter. It's a very versatile lighter. Tabletop lighter, so it's a jet, which you can adjust. There's a slide adjuster here on the side. So you can go full pelt, and then you can change the shape of the flame into a soft flame with that. It's a good lighter, and it's got a very big what's it called, you know what I'm trying to say. It holds a lot of gas. So anyway, I had a Dunhill Bulldog, but it was uncomfortable because I found, much like the Savinelli 320s, I find that actually this one is quite similar in it's got quite a fat stem. So essentially the 320 is actually quite a similar shape to this. A little bit flatter and shorter. But what I found with that Dunhill was that the bit became thick very quickly, and it was just uncomfortable on my lips. And so I decided to sell that Dunhill. Fabiagnolo. I've only got one Savinelli at the moment, I think. That's the 606. Definitely holds a lot of gas, Josh. Well, seeing as nobody else is going to complain about it, Tim, you're all right. What's the exchange rate? I've got no idea. There's too many pipes in my collection that I don't smoke very much. I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up, Jimmy. The internet is a powerful thing. Click on it and I'm sure you'll find out what the exchange rate is. Pipes that I don't smoke that much. I've got a couple of drawers of pipes which are not 9mm, so those don't get smoked, and at some point I'm going to do another sale. I don't know what I'm waiting for, but at some point. I always feel a bit of mixed feelings when I do a sale. I feel like I'm sort of betraying the followers on the channel. They're looking for pipe or cigar information, and there's me selling stuff. On the other hand, you know, it's a shame for them to sit in the drawer doing nothing. So pipes that I don't smoke that much. You'd be surprised by some of these. My favourite stem, without a shadow of a doubt, miles ahead of any other type of material, is Cumberland. Any custom pipe that I've had made has usually got Cumberland. Very funny, Hector. I don't use corn cobs, no. I mean, I've got a couple, but I very rarely smoke them. I just don't enjoy them. So some of the pipes I don't smoke that regularly. I do smoke them, but really not regularly. Is this Freehand Plateau by Tom Phillips. This one was custom made and Cumberland stem. It's got some very nice grain. I have this mortar pipe, which is the beige coloured, which is quite a bit rarer apparently, which was made by Moretti Pipes. And so far I haven't really enjoyed it very much. Yeah, Brindle, I call it Cumberland. You don't like it, tough. Yeah, exactly. I'll slip down to the bottom 95%. This one is a Soren Refsberg. Don't know, I'm not smoking it that much. The other Soren Refsberg, the one which you know about, which I moved over to Latakia, smokes very well, so I might need to do this with this one as well. Basically, I think the Soren Refsberg issue with them is that, and this was the other one, it's a Rattray Sandblast. I think the issue with the Soren Refsberg pipes is that when I first got hooked on Soren Refsberg pipes, hi Ben, how you doing? When I first started smoking Soren Refsberg pipes, he was producing the pipes quite regularly, and he was doing them himself. And that little sort of Levat, semi-Levat billiard shape that I've got, which I absolutely adore, but it's not 9mm, so I don't smoke it. He was turning out those, and they were freshly made pipes, and they were great, and they're fantastic. He stopped making pipes, I don't know, maybe a year or so ago, and I think that the Danish pipe shop bought up all of his stock. So any pipes which are half-made or semi-made, or bowls which were seconds, which had been sitting in his factory possibly for 20, 30, 40 years, they were slowly finishing off those pipes and selling them as seconds. And I bought some of them, and I think that those ones, those really old ones, some of them have just got an old flavour in the pipes. I don't know if it's because they've been sitting around and been gathering dust, but I don't really know for sure. It might just be my luck, but they just some of them just don't smoke that well, and when I move it over to Latakia, the Latakia obviously is overpowering, so it overpowers that taste, and it seems to work fine. You can convert some pipes. I have converted many of my pipes. In fact, I think most of my pipes are converted pipes, which I have had done by Ian Walker at Northern Briars, and some by Moretti Pipes. And I hope to learn to do that myself. But yeah, those are some of the pipes which I haven't really been smoking very much of. You see, Ben, what a popular guy you are. We did mention you a little bit earlier on in dispatches. Somebody was talking about Longchamp leather-clad pipes, and I said that you're probably the man. Most of my pipes tend to be either straight or nearly straight. I don't really have like majorly bent pipes. This is early on I bought this pipe, but they'll have a slight bend to them. It's like that kind of idea. I find that full bent pipes tend to gurgle more often. Okay, so that one's straight. The one I made is straight. This one is like a quarter bent. That's really pretty much my my bread and butter shape. This one actually is quite a bit more bent, but it smokes very well. And this one actually, the draft hole isn't right at the bottom either. That's the Bentley Biformer Hector. Well, that one smokes fantastically well. Got a Northern Briar Zulu, which also is one that I don't smoke very often. It's a 9mm. It was made as a 9mm. I don't know why I don't smoke it really. Not very often at all. Ryan, you seem awfully obsessed with obtaining what's mine, not yours. I personally haven't had a problem with filters. A lot of people say that they do sort of narrow the flavor profile, but I haven't had that problem. I'm going over to 9mm for me was a complete revolution in my pipe smoking. It just changed everything for me. Certainly, if you can smoke without getting tongue bite, then really there's no reason, unless you wanted to filter out some of the rubbish that's in the tobacco, but other than that. Jerry, not as many as you'd think. I would say in my regular rotation there's probably somewhere between 20 and 30 pipes, and there's probably about another 40 odd pipes, maybe 50 sitting around. So all told, it's probably about 70 or 80 pipes, maybe a bit less at the moment, I'm not sure. I haven't counted them for a long time. Cheers, Doug. I do change my filter every time. Yeah, I am a bit snobby that way. Plus, the Bentley has lots of room for spare filters, so it's not really an issue. Oh, I see what you mean, user. User, that's a great name. User, a screen name. Yeah, you're right. I could probably go 3 or 4 smokes on a filter, but I generally do change them every time. If I'm not in the Bentley, then yes, the footman does. Jeeves, his name is. My favourite pipe brand. I did talk about that recently for somebody's giveaway. I think it was Harriet Herfer's, possibly. The back's alright, Art. Thank you for asking. Good night, Josh. Thank you for joining. Unfortunately, waking up with aches and pains is de rigueur for somebody of my age and of my girth. Oh, it was the peaches, you're right. It was Northern Briars and the peaches. Well observed, Ryan. You're an amazing person, Hector, really. Very considerate. But you're right. I must be honest, when I go to the shop and I'm offered a carrier bag, if I don't need it, I don't take it. And I tell them, save the environment. I do try, honestly I do. Peterson system. I'm not a Peterson fan, so I can't answer you. The Peterson pipes that I've had have all disappointed me, so I don't really buy them anymore. I think the last one that I bought was the Pipe Club of London's pipe, and that's the only reason why I bought it. And I haven't smoked it. The one pipe that I really would like to smoke, which is a Pipe Club, is the one from 2017, was it? It's a stunning pipe, but it's not 9mm. It's a Mastro de Paya. Some of you have seen this already. Savinelli over Peterson. Absolutely, I agree. This pipe is absolutely amazing. It's got a beautiful smooth rim. It's got a silver band which says 2017 on it. Lovely stem, although I don't favour acrylic, but I could always put a thing on there. And it's just a beautiful sandblast, beautiful stain. And I really would like to smoke it. And it is thick enough for me to put to get it converted, but I haven't as yet. And Mastro de Paya are actually doing the 2020 pipe for the Pipe Club of London, and that's for the 50th anniversary of the Pipe Club of London, and that's supposed to, it's, as far as I know, it's going to be an absolutely phenomenal pipe. And as yet they haven't given us a sneak peek. But my gut feeling is that it's going to have some gold on it, because it's 50th anniversary, which is a golden anniversary. And that's based on something that John said to me, but he wasn't letting any secrets out, but I reckon it's going to have a gold band. A pup? Who's a pup? I think Savinellis really have to take the crown when it comes to mass-produced pipes. Mastro de Paya are not mass producers. They are a pretty big company, but they're not mass producers in the same. They're not in the same league as Savinelli. The Savinelli high ends, I don't know. I could do without them. You know, they jump up to silly money because they're high ends, and you know you could be paying, if you buy it at retail, you could be paying anything from £300-400 up to £1,000, £1,500. And I don't see the value in, but it's like any high-end thing. You're paying for the art and for the name and so on. But in terms of mass-produced pipes, I think Savinelli has got to be at the top of the pile. Mastro de Paya is, fantastic-looking pipes, and they smoke well, but it's a smaller company, and you can't get a £50 Mastro de Paya new, whereas Savinelli you can. And if you're really in a pinch, you can get a Rossi for less than that. So I personally think, from as far as mass-produced pipes go, you can't beat Savinelli. I mean, Stanwells, yes, but they also start off the lower end of Stanwells. It really costs more than a Savinelli. That's a cool idea, Jimmy. I suppose here in the UK we wouldn't be allowed to smoke those without a gun license. The Ponte Oro is something which I would like to try, because people do say that they are a cut above. The Briar is supposed to be very, very good. I really wouldn't mind but I don't think you can get those in 9mm, to be honest. Dunhills, well, there's one on the table. I'm trying to think if I've got any others at the moment. I've had quite a fair few pass through my hands, but at the moment this is, I think, the only one that I've got at the moment, which is this stubby Dublin, which is a very nice pipe with a Cumberland stem. Sorry, Brindle stem. Yeah, that's my Dunhill at the moment. Why, thank you, Hector. You are most gracious. Here's another pipe which I haven't smoked. This is an Astley, which is new, old stock. Very nice ring grain on this one as well. You can see how it flows across all the way. So this would have probably been a lump. The ring grain going across all the way up. Which, if I had to bet on it, I would say that this was done by Bill Ashton. But one can never know. And here's a genuine Bill Ashton, Canadian, in beautiful condition. Very, very nice, long, slim stem. Miles, how are you doing? Well, I would strongly suggest that you go into Dunhill first. All the shops are fine, but I would suggest, in terms of if you're intimidated, go into Dunhill first, down at 1A at the bottom of St James's, and tell them that Simon sent you, and I'm sure they will look after you anyway, whether you do or don't say Simon sent you. But you'll meet, there's two people who work there. One of them is Robert and the other one is Tom. Both lovely, lovely people, the nicest people in the world. And when you do familiarise yourself a little bit more with those shops, you'll see what I mean. They're all nice people, but Dunhill is by far the most down-to-earth, no snobbiness, no intimidation, just regular guys, and they'll help you along in your selection. Really fantastic. I would certainly encourage you to go to Dunhill's first. Give it a try. In what way has pipe smoking changed my life? That's a good question, Art. I've asked that question in one of my giveaways before. Um, Cherry. In what way has it changed my life? My favourite beer. I don't smoke beer. I don't smoke beer at all, but I don't drink beer that much. If I did, I have in the past enjoyed Stella Artois, that kind of thing. But I'm not a big alcohol consumer. Full stop. I enjoy some beer. I enjoy some cider. I enjoy some whiskey, but all in pretty small measures, to be honest. Wine, but I'm not a huge consumer. So to come back to your question, Art, in what way has it changed my life? Well, it's not smoking per se, because I haven't smoked cigarettes since I was in my teens, my late teens. I stopped smoking when I was in my early 20s, around 22 years old, 23 maybe. And I hadn't smoked since then for probably 25 years after that. The odd cigar here and there, but just, a celebratory thing. Not knowing anything about cigars, I could probably count on one hand the amount of cigars that I'd had. How has it changed my life? I think more than anything else, it's the belonging to the pipe smoking community. I think that's been something which has been really, really enlightening to me. And I think sometimes it's nice to have something which is your own. And obviously over the time I've then, really got to enjoy the pipes and enjoy the tobaccos, of course. But how it changed my life is that, when you're bringing up a family, trying to earn a crust, you're focused on those things, and you need to have a certain amount of escapism in your life. So for some people, that might be going on a skiing holiday, or for some people in extreme form might be taking a bit of weed or something like that. But I was never into all of that stuff. I certainly couldn't afford to go away on skiing holidays every sort of couple of months or anything like that with a growing family. And for me, it started off certainly as an escapism, and it just became like this other world, almost surreal at some points. Being involved in just something which was, I could go about my daily business, and the people in my vicinity would know nothing about it. Not that there was anything wrong with it, but it was just something that was mine. And being able to interact with people all over the world who understand where you're coming from, who understand the passion, and really get why you might pick up a lump of wood and marvel at the grain or at the shape, and somebody else in the street might just think I'm ridiculous how much focus and passion I'm putting in to some piece of wood. But being part of the pipe smoking community, it all means something. And then you've got the camaraderie, the friendships, the generosities. But more than anything else, I think it's something to be involved in, which is very rewarding. And for me, it's been an ever-changing journey. Starting off from that sort of very, very humble beginning in Covent Gardens that time when I picked up a pipe at Cigar and Snuff. I remember, I've said this before, huddling in the corner there. I was with my family, but I was trying to get this thing to light, and obviously knew absolutely nothing about pipe smoking. At that time, I can't remember if I had or hadn't come across any pipe videos on YouTube at that stage, but we used to regularly go out on a Sunday with the family, and we went to Covent Gardens quite regularly, and I was always intrigued by this little shop, this little kiosk almost, Cigar and Snuff, and I used to just sort of be pressing my nose against the window every time I went past it. And one time I just went in and said, right, I'm buying a pipe. And it was also to do with a memory which I had of college, where there used to be a guy there who smoked a pipe. and I was only about 18 at the time, and it seemed very odd for an 18-year-old to be smoking a pipe. But he was a slightly eccentric kind of guy. But maybe that had something to do with it. And some people in my past in school used to smoke pipes. But going on to YouTube and finding people like the Dagners and Matches and Smoking Grandpa Bones and Stogie Farts and the Polish what's his name, what's his name, the Polish, can't remember his name, but I used to find him hilarious. He very rarely comes on. The Polish Piper, is that his name? I can't remember. But so I used to really enjoy that there was quite a lot of interaction between those guys who were the then YTPC generation, and Danny Shaw, you know, Tony Capone, and I think that's really how it changed my life. It's just it gave me something to be passionate about, and it came about at a very good time because I had a Polish Piper. I've said this in the past as well, for about 20 years I was involved as a school governor in a school, and I gave it 20 years of my life, and that was my passion, and pretty much every spare moment and more than my available time, you know, even took away time from my work, and that was my life, and I gave my whole life really to that school for 20 years, and I resigned from that position about 3 years ago, maybe 2.5, 3 years ago. So I'd started smoking a pipe just before that, before I resigned, but it kind of has given me another focus, you know, besides for the regular stuff like, you know, earning a living and bringing up a family and keeping a roof over your head. It's just nice to have that focus, and to be honest, I probably spend too much time on this as well, but there it is. I hope that answers your question, Art. Yes, it can be an obsession, Ken, absolutely. My beard doesn't have mice in it, but it has a good aroma of tobacco, and that's a good thing. I've tried meerschaums. I do smoke them occasionally, especially the Pipe Club of London one from 2018, but it's not something that I smoke regularly. I have tried various, you know, bowl materials, but I always seem to come back to briar. Briar seems to work the best for me. I find with meerschaums, which is why people like meerschaums, I find it too clinical, the smoke, and it's really a purist kind of way of smoking. But I think the briar rounds off the flavour a bit, and it just adds something to it. It just it adds a little bit of call it cleaner smoke if you like. Absolutely cleaner. For me, it's more clinical. But I don't know, briar just works for me. Hi, Briar Bear. Ben, and when you say the briar has the most character, the most charm, but do you find that it gives you the best tasting smoke as well? Because for me, that works for me. I find that it tastes the best in briar. And it could well be that it is a lighter Briar Bear. It's a desktop lighter, which I can use as a jet or as a soft flame. Yeah, I mean that's why people smoke meerschaums, Joe. It's true, you do get a much purer, you're getting the flavour of the tobacco. But I just find that it's a little bit too clinical for me. And sometimes, if you smoke a tobacco and you get the pure flavours, the flavours sometimes can become a little bit discreet, and they kind of are less of a blend. Whereas with briar, I find the briar is a good glue, and it kind of holds it all together and just rounds it out and makes it more of a blend. I don't know if that's a subliminal thing, but that's how it seems to me. Good night, Wildcat. Thanks. Yeah, I'm the same, Cobs and Briars. My pipes are dedicated to types of blend. Yep. So whether it's Virginias, Vapors, Latakia, and so on, and aromatics. Cheers, Ben. I don't get sand or dust taste with the meerschaums. I used to find actually that they sometimes gave a nice sort of a malty aroma to the smoke, but I didn't get any dusty. I tend to get the dusty taste with burleys, which is why I don't like burley blends or burley forward blends. It's getting to that time when I'm starting to talk gobbledygook. That's why you call the dusty old codger, aren't you? I've got a couple of cobs, but I very rarely smoke them. I had a Dagna cob. I think I sent that one to Ryan actually, when he won a giveaway. I think the only other cob I've got at the moment is a Missouri Meerschaum Legend, I think. Oh, I'm glad to hear it, Ryan. Alternate are a really good name for meerschaums. They're well regarded. Four-eyed, that's a good question. I think they're separate most of the time. I'll first decide what I want to smoke. So obviously, if I'm the genre of tobacco will obviously give me a different one selection of pipes or the other. So if I'm going Latakia, it'll be my Latakia pipes. But then I'll decide which pipe I want to smoke. But it's always the smoke first, the tobacco first, and then usually I'll decide which pipe I want to smoke. That's usually how it works for me. I'm trying to think if there's a particular tobacco which I enjoy most in a particular pipe, and I think the only one that I would really say that I enjoy a particular tobacco in a particular pipe is the McClelland Virginias in the Bentley pipe. In fact, this one is a Bentley by Forma. You see, it's not just a Bentley, it's a Bentley by Forma, and that's something special. That's something to be proud of. Ask Hector, he knows all about it. But this one is my, if you like, my Friday Savinelli. Although I haven't done that recently, but I used to smoke this on a Friday with either 40th anniversary or with one of the Christmas cheers, and it smokes very, very well in that pipe. So that's probably the only one. So how do you choose a pipe, Ben? If the vast majority of your pipes all taste the same, how do you choose which pipe you want? Ryan, that's a good question. This was London Fog, but as of tonight it's no longer my London Fog pipe. I smoked Mature Virginia in it, and it smoked very, very well, I must admit. The Mature Virginia smoked very, very well in this. Alright, gentlemen, I think we're going to call it a night. Thank you very much for joining. Really appreciate your company, as always. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, Ryan, the Quaker, Ben, the Artful Codger, Four-Eyed Piper, Boris, Cobbs and Briars, Ken, Jimmy, Pipe Snob, Mike, Gamecock Piper, and Smoking Grandpa Bones. User screen name UX. Thanks all for joining. Tree, Sam, all of you, thank you very, very much. Really appreciate your company once again. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I will